Welcome back to the final credits. On today's show, Joker Folie is a musical, but it works, or does it? Wrestlemania was Peacock's #1 hit streaming show, right? Live event. And what does that mean for everything else happening in the streaming world? And also our review for Monkey Man. All this and more. Stay tuned. Joining us today, we've got Joey Pancakes.
There's a lot of monkey business going on today, but we're also here to finish a story.
Johnny 64.
Anybody got a banana?
And me, Mike Spade. Banana? Really?
Monkeys, dude.
Monkeys. Got it. Okay. Wow. Went over my head. Okay, so, gentlemen, on the agenda today is a little movie called Joker Folie, or as we're going to call it, Joker 2, because none of us speak real French, so trying to imitate a French accent is not one of our things.
Nope.
Or we can say the English translation, the madness of two, which I think sounds so much better than Folie à deux. But
you know what? Yes. Folie, madness of two. Yes. Joker, madness of two. So, guys, what do we think?
in the beginning, I didn't think that the original Joker should have gotten a sequel. I think that was a perfect one-off. It was a good character study. It was, different than any other iteration of Joker we had gotten yet. And then we got this announcement, and first thought was just like, oh man, here we go. It's going to be another, studio milking out a property that doesn't need to have another sequel or whatever. And then this trailer came out, and I thought to myself, damn, like if this movie was if the original Joker was going to have any sequel, this is it. I think we're in for another special one-off, yet it's a sequel type of movie that I think it's going to fit. I think they found their niche, and everybody seems pretty confident in it just by looking at everything. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
I don't know. I feel so conflicted on this movie. I feel like I watched the trailer. It looks decent, but I'm in the same thinking. Do we really need this movie? I'm in the same space that it was great as a one-off. Joker had his own spin-off, his own story. There was loose ties to Bruce Wayne and a future Batman potentially, but it was great as a one-off. We explored his mental illness. We got inside his psychotic mind, how he went off the wagon. He became this psycho killer. And then I see this. I'm like, really?
I don't know. I think it works. I think the type of movie that it was, it works.
You know what the funny part is? I agree with both of you. This is the sad thing, because I agree both, because yes, it seems like this movie's going to work, because if it's anything like Les Mis, where it's story and then musical, it works. But if it's straight up just musical, that's a bad idea.
I don't think it's going to be like that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think they made it very clear in this trailer that all the musical sequences are in their crazy ass minds.
Yeah,
and this is the thing too, that people forget that in the first movie, I feel like his psychosis was based around music. Remember that scene? He goes into the public bathroom,
yeah.
And he's in front of the mirror, and just the violins start to play, and just starts this awkward ballet. That's his mindset. So I feel like they brought that theme out into the open here,
And I agree with Pancakes, because I liked the first one. I don't think it's a masterpiece like everyone thinks it is. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not the Joker that I know. It's a different rendition of the Joker. I get it. It's different.
It's a character study.
Yeah,
it's not meant to be a comic book
correct.
movie.
And I completely agree with it. That's why I like it. But at the same time, though, I think people put too much emphasis on it. But at the same time, do we really need a second one? And that's where I agree with Pancakes on this, where do we really need it? But after watching this trailer, I'm like, this actually could work to our benefit.
And musicals I'm not usually the big fan of. I was wrong with Wonka. I get it. That's a different type of movie.
Right.
It's more lighthearted. It's more fun, and the music works there with Timothy Chalamet. Here, Joaquin Phoenix was amazing, he won the Oscar for Best Actor, but for that role back in 2019. Lady Gaga is one of the most talented performers on the planet, songwriters. She's dipped her toe into acting. She's on American Horror Story. So she'll make it work. And I know the Joker, Harley Quinn, complicated love story is legendary from DC Comics. We kind of saw hints of it in Suicide Squad with Jared Leto and Margot Robbie, how they fell it, but now we're getting a whole movie out of it. Like, it looks okay, the trailer. Like I said, it looks decent. I feel conflicted. With a character like Joker, it's one of the most popular characters in the history of comic books, movies, TV, pop culture in general. So, of course, Warner Brothers wants to get everything it could out of it. But in recent times, how many recent incarnations we got 15 years ago? Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, Jared Leto in Suicide Squad. Even though he played it once, he had a cameo in the Snyder Cut in the after credits scene. Then Joaquin Phoenix, and then I forget the actor's name, but even they introduced their version of a live version of the Joker in the Batman.
Yeah, see, and this is the thing too. Like, to kind of step off of that is like the question now is like, what is the actual story here? Is this going to be like another? Because the first movie had like a big theme about like the underdog, people who get stepped on in public. That they'll werewolf and go wild, like he says in the movie, and like that was the central theme. Like he was a guy that everybody was stepping on and taking advantage of, and then he just found his niche, even though he was trying to be like a comedian that wasn't working out, and people were laughing at him, and he wanted to find the comedy in life. Like, what's the theme here? Is it him doing all this again, but with his female sidekick, or is it like, is there another like otherworldly, not otherworldly, but like greater theme here that like what's the purpose of this movie? Like the first movie had its purpose.
I think the theme of this movie is how somebody who is crazy falls in love.
That could be it too. Yeah.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple.
I could see that.
How someone who is loony finds someone who's just as loony as he is and falls in love with that person, and that's why they're dancing on the same. These are the same steps or similar steps to the ones where
Looks like the same.
No, that looks so. So here, this is actually interesting. If you look at the newspaper on the left, it says free on all charges. So
that's not true.
That looks like they're in front of the courthouse or whatever, and like they're out free. That's definitely like that could be like a musical number that's not actually happening.
Right.
But I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, they're in front of a police station or a court or something like that. But there is a scene really quick where you see her at the top of the actual stairs that he was dancing on in the first movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing, based on the scenes we got, that I don't know if it's a concern, but in some ways, are we going to get a rehash of the first movie? But instead, Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn is going to be doing the same exact thing, and he's going to be following her, or
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, is it going to be the same thing? Just this time, he has her by his side, but like we see her holding a gun to his face at one point. So like maybe she's using him,
and he's pulling back.
Yeah, but then that goes into what you were saying about like the whole central theme about love. Like the first movie was very bleak and negative and dark about society. This could also be like negative and bleak and dark about like how love can fuck with your head, and especially in somebody in his case,
Imagine love fucking with your head that's already been fucked.
Yeah, so and she's taking advantage of that for her own purposes, for all we know. So
and I don't know how faithful they're gonna be to the story. What Todd Phillips' spin's gonna be on it. Like, is she gonna be depressed the direction of her life, what she's doing, and then meeting Arthur, gives her purpose, and then unlocks that psychotic side. One thing I hope that none of the trailers spoil is like what she looks like and what her Harley Quinn costume looks like, and hopefully something doesn't leak out and they keep that out of the trailers as a surprise.
Well, I mean, you saw what her face looks like,
right?
You don't know
see
what
hints.
she's gonna wear.
Well, there was a quick shot of her with some sort of makeup on, but I don't think they're gonna go too far beyond that. Like, we're not gonna see her like in a animated series accurate. You know, the
They put
Harley Quinn costume.
Margot Robbie they put her in the costume in a quick scene
Right, the
in,
dance scene.
in Suicide Squad, and that was a dance scene too. So I think there's definitely going to be more gritty and darker than the brief origin story we got in Suicide Squad. I don't know. Maybe I have to see another trailer or two. I feel mid right now.
You gotta approach it with an open mind.
That's
Pancakes.
That's it. But I got a question for you guys. What's the over under that one of them or both of them die in this movie?
I don't think so. Because this is a movie studio, right? They want to keep something open enough where if they want to make a third movie, if this is that successful that they want to and they can make a third movie.
There's no way this movie's making $2 billion like the original.
No, the first one didn't make $2 billion, did it?
I thought it made $2
I
billion.
thought it broke $1 billion.
Oh, maybe. Oh, regardless,
No.
it still made
Yeah.
$1 billion. Okay, fine.
Still, yeah.
It's
That
not
would be
gonna go
crazy
that-
if that was true. I don't know.
I don't think it's gonna.
It definitely broke $1 billion. I think
Yeah.
it broke $1 billion. But it's first of all, it's Lady Gaga. Like, you know, if they could get her back for another movie that's successful, I would keep her alive. It's Harley Quinn, you know. But
Pancakes. What do you think? You think any one of them is gonna die, or both of them?
I think they're just going to end up as neighbors locked up together in Arkham.
they're gonna end up where they started, basically,
Okay.
laughing to themselves in a cell. But actually, a question is, do you think we'll see any Batman follow up in this
Oh,
movie?
hell no.
If he's is this supposed to take place any like number of years or a year or
We don't know
directly
anything.
Well,
after?
his parents did get killed like at the end of the movie by
But he
one
was
of
a
Joe.
kid.
He was a kid. He saw his parents get killed. In this case, it was Joker's followers who killed his parents. So I don't know. I mean, they could have done without. But you can't do Joker without Bruce Wayne or Batman. He might be an older Bruce Wayne, like slowly, you know, maybe like a newspaper, like billionaire's son leaves town, you know, or goes missing.
Probably, yeah. You might be right.
Maybe
actually, 'cause-
maybe a newspaper that goes across the screen, blown by the wind. But we'll see what
Because
happens.
in the first movie, yeah, like that, there was that scene with Joker at the gate of
Wayne Manor.
Wayne Manor. That, like, you know, he was still a kid then, and you know, you had Alfred taking him away. So it's like, if this takes place directly after that, I guess maybe he'd still be a kid. Or if it's like, you know, they could say it's like,
Couple
this
of
was
years later.
2 years, yeah. Or there's a time skip at the beginning during the movie at some point that you see a newspaper that says, like you said, like Bruce is gone for, you know, wherever he went. So yeah,
He went to boarding school.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He went to
yeah.
boarding school. So yeah, the question goes out to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that this movie is going to be a hit because it's a musical, or is it going to be a hit because of Joaquin Phoenix being in it again? Let us know in the comment section down below. So guys, this weekend was a rather exciting weekend for
You guys.
well,
WrestleMania.
yeah, but the topic is not about
No,
really
it's not.
WrestleMania. The question is more along the lines of, is sporting events going to topple over movies and TV shows in the streaming space? Like, are we going to have more views on sports than we are on movies and TV?
If it's a live event, I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers that we're seeing for Peacock, I think they were saying that this was like the most successful event that they've had.
According to a report on Variety, the 2-night event of WrestleMania is the most watched entertainment event in the history of the streaming service. The number they said was 1.3 billion minutes, but you have a take on that?
Yeah, well, my take on that is very simple. When you compare a show, right, you compare it by episode. You don't compare it by the whole series.
Right.
So a whole series is whether it's the standard, 20 episodes that was usually what happened on network TV, or, you know, the new thing now with streaming, it's usually 10 or so episodes. So they don't combine the whole series together. They say, oh, we had, for example, 1 million people watching the first episode, and we had, 800,000 watching the third episode. They don't really combine them. It's only lately with this whole sports thing that they're like, oh, let's start adding everything up so we can pad the numbers and make it look like it's bigger than what it really is.
Of course, there's going to be some padding of the numbers or some inflation of the numbers. You know, they're playing up into one thing that was a big sticking point is that this is a new era. You know, they're trying to do everything to distance themselves from Vince McMahon. Obviously, it was because of the horrible scandal that was happening and going on. You know, they were putting emphasis on that this is the Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Triple H era, since he's the chief contact officer and he's the go-to guy from the parent company TKO. They're definitely trying new stuff. There's new camera angles thrown there. We were talking off air. It definitely seems more cinematic.
Right. That's why a lot of people are turning around and calling this the cinematic era, because the way Triple H is telling everybody what to do, it's along the lines of let's shoot it as if it's some real sporting event or as a movie.
Yeah, and
the storylines also are a lot longer than what they used to be.
All I know is come 2026, Peacock and Netflix is going to get into a bidding war if WrestleMania and other live events, pay-per-views, now they're calling it premium live events or PLEs for short, on Peacock. If WrestleMania and other WWE shows continue to do this like Peacock, they're going to fight like hell to keep the streaming rights of the WWE network, because, Netflix was definitely keeping a close eye on it, because for now, they just have the rights to Raw. And while, Peacock has that, USA Network has another show. But it's going to be interesting in 2 years because, Netflix has an open checkbook and they're not afraid to spend money.
This is the thing, and this is where I can actually enter the conversation. So, streaming is, they're looking for a way to make it profitable because, all streaming services we've seen over the past, year and a half or 2 years, that they've been taking measures to, make as much money as possible after the all the stuff that they got out of the pandemic, all the money that they were making out of the pandemic, that wasn't actually a trend. That was just something that they got almost as a gift, from the pandemic itself. They were left scrambling, wondering how come our numbers aren't this great all the time? And now they've been trying to jack up prices and put more ads in, and just find more ways to be more profitable. And I think live sporting events is going to, whether it's an actual live sporting event or a pro wrestling live event, that's where I think a lot of these streaming services are going to be throwing their hats around next. Mm-hmm. So, especially with Netflix, as big as it is, I think at this point, Netflix is the only major streaming service that doesn't have any sort of live event, I guess other than Raw, which they only just got.
They just got, yeah.
So it won't go into effect until January of 2025.
Right. So I think, they're definitely paying attention to this. And I think we're going to see more efforts from them to try to obtain the rights, whether it's wrestling or anything else, just to get more people on board their service. Because, as big as Netflix is, their reputation isn't always great. It's a lot of, they have a lot of content, but a lot of it's garbage. A lot of people just look at them as I'm just watching reality shows and whatnot at this point. So Netflix knows this, and seeing news like this come out about WrestleMania is they're paying attention. And I think there's more to come from them, between them and Peacock.
In my personal opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if WWE stays with Peacock instead of putting all the eggs in one basket with Netflix, because then they diversified their options, and the relationship with NBC and USA Network goes back, well to the early 90s when the original Raw debuted on USA Network in 1993. So I think they want to keep that relationship with NBC and Peacock. So I wouldn't be surprised, even if Netflix and other streaming services throw incredible numbers, I think Triple H and company and TKO would prefer to stay on Peacock. Obviously, things could change. A lot of things can change between now and then.
Yeah, but see, here's the deal. They're not a private company.
No, they're not.
They haven't been a private company in quite some time.
No, they're a public traded company.
Right. And what do you have to do? Make your shareholders happy. So if you're getting a multi-million-dollar deal from, let's say, Netflix saying, hey, we're going to give you this amount of money, and it's maybe, let's just even say, a couple of million more than what NBC is doing, sorry, all loyalties are out the window when it comes to money.
And then it's not up to WWE, because now they're a division.
Yeah, now it's a division of TKO.
It's under TKO, which is under Endeavor. So they'll have a lot of say and input, but but up to Ari Emanuel and the parent company, the real life Ari that Entourage based him. But I'm going off track.
I mean, it comes down to like once this current contract is up, where are they going to want to go next? Like if Netflix is still the heavy hitter, they're going to be like, well, we're going to get more views out of this out on this service, so why not just move there?
We're going to get more money. The whole idea is money. Look, it's been almost. This is almost the first time I believe that you actually saw alcohol being advertised on a wrestling program. Because if you remember, there was alcohol on the Cody Rhodes truck. So that's technically
right.
That's technically an advertisement, right?
And
when have you ever seen alcoholic beverages being advertised in a wrestling event? Remember, this was supposed to be the PG era.
Anytime Stone Cold brought out the beers.
Yeah, but those beers weren't sponsored. That's why you never saw
Steve Weisers.
Right. You never saw the name of the beer. You knew what the beer was, but you didn't know what it was.
Well, without going too down the wrestling fandom, I got to give credit to the storytelling, because that main event on Sunday night, a lot of people drawing comparisons to Avengers Endgame, like that the last 10 minutes, like how so many people came out. We got John Cena, we got The Rock, we got The Undertaker, Seth Rollins wearing the old Shield deal, plus Roman's cronies, his cousins Jay and Solo. But just, you can tell it's a new era, and I think they're going to end up calling this the Renaissance era. I mean, not that wrestling ever went away, but the popularity is going through the roof, and we're talking about these crazy numbers. But before we move on, congratulations, Cody Rhodes, for finishing the story. New champion, finally. But it was
please
just
like and subscribe.
Please, I know you watch us every week.
Yeah.
But I mean, to what you're saying though, actually, it is like kind of relevant to like our greater topic, because it's like I feel like Triple H and the people in charge now, they know they have to adapt to the streaming era, and this is like what they have to do now to make it interesting and pull more people in.
Exactly. You can't do it. You can't do a storyline for this month and next month, and then wrestling is different. Wrestling is like a soap opera, right? There's a new episode every single day. And in wrestling, it's every Mondays and Fridays or Thursdays or Wednesdays, whatever it is, depending on what show you're watching and which
well, I mean, part of it, too, is that, like, I mean, hearing from you and our other, well-known, fans of wrestling, like, it seems like the past few years, the past decade, like, there's been a lot to be unhappy about with like the writing and how the things have been.
It was boring. It was lackluster.
Yeah, so I think they know like they have to change that in general, and also change it in a way that just fits the streaming platform, the streaming era.
Well, and that's where I was getting at with it being more cinematic. Just like I told you,
it's fresh.
Offline. The shots that they're doing now, it's more cinematic what they're doing, as opposed to cut here, cut there. Now they're zooming in, they're zooming out. Like it's a whole big, they're panning in, panning out. Like it's a whole big thing now. So they're just trying to make it look different, so that way they can catch more people to watch.
It's like a rebrand almost.
Exactly. So if they're catching more people to watch, you're going to go to your friends and be like, yo, wrestling is not what it used to be. You need to check it out again. And then what are they going to do? They're going to sign up for Netflix.
Right.
Because they're going to want to watch Raw. Right?
Yeah.
And then if they have to go somewhere else to go see SmackDown, or to go see what are the other ones from AEW, or Impact, you're going to do these things. You're going to go sign up for this to watch it. Nobody's going to sit there and say, "Oh, I'm going to go to friend." Like, yeah, okay, a couple of people will be like, "Oh, let's all hang out on Monday night and watch it together at my house."
Right.
But how often is that going to happen? You're going to go to your friend's house every Monday night? Is this going to be the new, Sunday Night Football? It's going to be Monday Night Wrestling?
No, because with Netflix, you can watch it anytime.
You want to watch it live, though.
That's why it's not called pay-per-view, because it's already, like, with Wrestlemania, you didn't have to pay extra on Peacock to watch it. It was already part of your subscription. So that makes, I mean, the convenience factor right there is already really good, too, if you're a cord cutter.
That's why with the ESPN Plus model, with their relationship with UFC, or their deal with UFC, they show content every week, but when it comes to the pay-per-views, even if you already have a membership, they're already charging like $70. They still charge $70. So in that case, it's still paying. You're still paying for the pay-per-view on the streaming service, even though you're a number, and we were talking also off here like how clunky the setup is
Yeah,
to access what you're looking for on
Yeah.
ESPN Plus.
Yeah, ESPN Plus is just not good.
Yeah, so
that's Disney's problem, though.
so it goes back. It's like, you used to have Sunday Night Football. You used to go to the, you all hang out at a person's house, or you go to the bar and watch it over there. But now it's like, hey, we're going to change it to Monday Night Wrestling. So now are people going to be doing that, to be subscribing, to be, adding those numbers, to pad the numbers, to make it look like it's a bigger thing than what it is?
I mean, end of the day, that it's just value building. Like, that all these services are trying to like make more value out of their product. Like, if you're paying this much now, and especially if they're jacking prices up every other year or so, what are you getting out of it?
Right.
And like I said before, like sports, like live sporting events, live events in general, that's going to be the next thing that all of these services are going to start focusing on. Like, this is like just the beginning, I think, with WrestleMania. And I think a lot of, like, not just Netflix, but like all the other services out there are paying attention to this, and they're going to be, hitting hard. Like we've seen with like with Max, like with March Madness, like they've been posting a lot of the live games there. So, it's a trend right now. I can see
Turner Sports, TNT, TBS, that's under that umbrella. So they're able to, HBO or Max is able to show those games. Right. I was going to say, to finish up with WWE, they've been in the streaming game for a decade now. They launched their own network.
They were one of the first.
They launched it in 2014 as its own entity before they made the deal with Peacock in 2021.
Right.
And which is still good into 2026. So I still believe, like I was saying, that there's going to be a bidding war between Peacock and Netflix, and Prime might make a play for it. You don't know who else what's going to come, and end of the day, money's going to talk. Despite, like you mentioned, despite prior relationships, we'll see what's the best deal for them.
I agree. Money talks. So the question goes out to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think that, because of this, we're going to have a big bidding war between not just wrestling? We're talking about, baseball, football, basketball, everything in between too. This maybe the minor leagues too. You never know.
even music live events, for all we know.
For all we know, music live events too. Who knows? But let us know in the comment section down below. So, gentlemen, we saw a little movie this week.
Monkey Man.
Now they handle the monkey business.
Yep. And I want. I have a simple question. Do you think that Jordan Peele did the right thing by grabbing the rights to this movie and pushing it to the theater?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, without a doubt. I mean, this is the movie that we watched, the indie movie that we watched last year.
Story Ave?
Story Ave. It's basically the Story Ave of this year. In the same way,
well, I mean, this one was
a little bit higher budget,
way over
a little
budget,
higher budget,
yeah.
but like it's the same kind of story where it got picked up by a big name, to produce it, like with Story Avenue with Jamie Foxx and Luis Guzman, and look how that turned out.
Right.
Same thing here. I mean, we really got like another story at that level in terms of writing. So
The numbers might not reflect it yet because we're only in the first or second week of
First week
of the release.
It's not even officially week yet. It's only been a couple of days.
Yeah, so the numbers may not reflect it yet.
But the numbers are, it had a $10 million budget.
Right.
It's already made worldwide $14 million.
So
yeah, it's good.
But
by the end of its run, it'll be fine.
But based on the experience we got in the theater, it was definitely worth a movie release.
Without a doubt.
yes,
The action that we got on screen, it was, is way better to see on the silver screen than watch on a streaming service. And I'm sure it'll still be a good movie to watch when it hits a Netflix or a Prime, whatever it may be. But this is definitely the sleeper hit of the year, at least so far. It looked good from when we did the trailer discussion about it, but I did not expect that the deeper story we got. I thought, we said, oh, John Wick in India.
Well, it really was John Wick in India in simple terms.
In certain scenes, yes.
So that's the thing. Like with John Wick, I remember when we were watching John Wick 4 last year, and like the hype was up for that movie. I'd only watched like the first movie in that series, and I got into I had to watch the rest of the movies just to kind of get up to speed with John Wick 4. And by the end of like John Wick 4 itself, I just felt like I feel like I'm watching the same thing over and over and again. Like he's shooting people left and right. He's got Kevlar protecting him in his suit. Fine. this movie, like, it did all the things that like I wanted John Wick to do as a series. Like, John Wick is great as a series. I'm not saying it's not a bad movie series.
Yeah, they didn't overdo it with the guns.
Yeah, it was just, that's the thing. Like, it was just so much like variety and creativity in the fight scenes, and like
It was a serious version of Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah,
Interesting take. Wow.
But like, you know what it is, like the violence actually, like there was like consequences even to the hero of like, you know, like if he gets hit, like how badly is he wounded and all that stuff? How does he like recover from it?
Affects it from the rest of the movie. Yeah.
It just it was almost like every hit and every action mattered. You know, so and it tied itself into the story, like how he trained himself back up and everything. So by the end of it, and like just the story in general, I was invested the entire time.
But it's a simple story, though. Like, let's be real here. It's a simple story.
Yeah.
A child growing up saying he wants to extract revenge against the guy who killed his mother. Simple story.
But everybody loves a story like that. You know, at the end of the day, it's an underdog story.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah,
Everybody
exactly.
loves an underdog story.
And it touched on themes like corruption and greed.
Oh, yeah.
Power hungry. We saw the religious leader who's, you know, he puts on this great front. He's like a leader of people. They're gonna win the election, but he sent the local police force, which is so corrupt, in his back pocket, and the police chief is the killer of.
Wait, are we talking about Kingpin? We're still talking about Monkey Man. We're talking about Wilson Fisk.
That was good, but we're still talking about Monkey Man.
It's like, wait, this sounded familiar.
Well, I did make a comment to you guys that certain fight scenes felt like Daredevil because of the hallway fight scene.
Yeah.
And I guess
did, actually.
that was the ridiculous. It's like when he broke back into the high end club, and all the goons came out, but then he had allies with the group of people that he's been.
So he had his own Avengers Endgame type deal.
Or Defenders.
Yes.
Yeah. Or Defenders would be more like it. Yeah.
But he fought to survive, to make money. He purposely lost fights. He was a mastermind. At first, he tried to. At first he was hesitant to pull the trigger. He got his ass kicked by the police chief in the bathroom. He barely survived. The police shot him. He barely survived. He got saved by that outcast group of people that ended up being his greatest allies. He won money for them, so that's why they were willing to help him. He was a complicated character, but with a sole purpose to get revenge for his mother, because the establishment wanted to take their land, and she said no. And as a kid, he witnessed a brutal murder, and his main target was a piece of shit police chief.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is the main villain, would you say, definitely the police chief, because that was the main target, or his boss? The
boss was like the end boss, like the
final boss,
the final level boss. Yeah,
not The Rock.
I think I will say actually, like the police chief, because he was the one that killed his mom directly.
Yeah,
so like he was the one to kill, but like. Also, he was, directed by, the guy at the top. So, like, it's just if you had to kill him, you also had to kill the guy above him, too. But, I mean, I feel like there was so many elements of this movie from other movies that, like, worked so well that were brought together in this movie. Like, it wasn't just John Wick. It wasn't just Slumdog Millionaire. Like, I felt like...
Fight Club.
Fight Club. There was also, like, elements of Rocky with, like, the training... Like, the training montage, I thought was very... I thought it was very cleverly done. With
it was with the music and everything.
Yeah, like the timbre drum and
drums.
everything. Yeah. I thought that was so, like like he was learning how to go to the rhythm and everything, and everybody was getting involved. Like I thought that was a nice spin on like the usual training montages we get. So, but like between that and like him being in the ring, like it felt like a little bit like Rocky-ish too, like the underdog, all that. So it's all those elements, and then he got beaten in the beginning of the movie. He had to like work his way back up. Right. It's all those elements.
So it's like Rocky 2.
Yeah, or Rocky 3.
Yeah, Rocky 3.
Or Dark Knight Rises,
Yeah. But you know what? What really got me about this movie? It's a quote that you said right after we watched the movie, and you said it because I remember when I had said that the movie had only a $10 million budget, and what was it that you said? That because of the no money, there was the creativity thing. How did you say it?
Yeah, no. So like basically, with the limits that a small budget gives you, the creatives have to be really creative within the limits that they're given. You know?
And because of that, this movie was phenomenal. If you were to tell me, hey, how much do you think they spent to make this movie? I would never have guessed $10 million.
Yeah.
And the fact that they filmed it on iPhones and GoPros and other cameras is crazy.
And this goes back to the video you made about hit movies on a budget.
Right.
And go check that out in the archives. And I think this movie 100% proves your point. With the limited budget, and you still get a great movie. You could tell that this was a passion project for Dev Patel.
Oh,
he put
out of every corner.
He put every ounce of his soul and heart into this. Director, co-writer, story by, a producer, and in the stunts, in the fight scenes, that's clearly him. What were you saying about how badly?
He got injured.
He got injured, broken bones, shoulders, everything. Like, he actually went through a lot of hardships in making this movie. And you know what, though? You can tell that he put his heart into it, and it came out, and it's an amazing movie. I feel like this movie, people should. I don't think enough people went to go see it, and I think more people should go see it because it's such a well done movie.
What a great call by Jordan Peele. He has an eye for great films. For someone that's become a great film maker in his own right, he's just a producer here, but it was his call to get this movie put in American theaters.
Well, yeah, because from my understanding, what happened is that he saw the movie,
right,
and it was supposed to go to Netflix, I believe.
One of the streaming services, yeah.
Yeah, one of the streaming services. And he was like, no. This movie needs to go to the theaters. This movie is spectacular. You need to make money off of this movie.
You need to see every drop of blood and chunk of flesh that flies across the screen on the big screen.
You have to. And you know what he did? He put in money, and he got it to go to the theaters. And guess what? Even if it stops and it doesn't make any more money and it made only $14 million, that's still a win. Dev Patel showed that as a first-time director, as an actor, and as a co-writer to this movie, he did a phenomenal job. So you know what? I can't wait for the next thing that he does.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Now with that ending, you think this is definitely serves as just a one-off story?
You know what? I don't think everything needs a sequel.
I know. It's just the way Hollywood or the going to theaters, like how certain things end. But I think the way it ended, this movie served its purpose, and that it was good as the one-off.
Right.
Fingers crossed that it was. But like we discussed with Joker, you never know.
Right.
But not that it's going to be we don't know yet if it's going to be that level of a hit, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But at the same time, though, do you really need that? Like, how are you going to continue the storyline? Like, he already avenged his mother. What happens now? He's walking down the street and somebody runs over a kid. And he's like, that was the kid I was taking care of.
You're right,
I'm going to come after him. So it's like, now you're just stretching it where this storyline is semi-believable as opposed to a part 2 when there's another final boss after that coming up and saying, ha ha ha, I was the mastermind, not these other 2 goons you killed.
Like, I think that's what, like, going back to what I was saying before about like there being so many elements coming together in this movie that were coming from other movies. It's just like, I feel like if you were to make a sequel, you can't just focus on one of those aspects to to leapfrog off of, and you can't redo all those aspects together again because, like you said, they would just be the same story again. So I would prefer seeing this as a one-off too.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that maybe he wrote this, right? So who's to say that he can't write something else?
Right.
And it could be better or it could be worse. We don't know. But I'm hoping for the better because he did such a great job on this. Imagine if he had a bigger budget, what he could have done. Yeah.
Well, I like you said, hopefully this movie kind of springboards him into more fame and give him more opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. So and guys, anything else you guys want to add in?
Go see it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
It's really that simple.
Give this movie the support it deserves. That's it.
100%. So the question goes out to you guys. You know what? Just go see it and then come back and write us a comment and tell us how much you love this movie. So, gentlemen, we didn't do it last week, but I guess we could bring it up this week. And what are we watching?
Oh, I actually have an answer for you.
I love this.
New show on Apple TV Plus called Sugar with Colin Farrell.
Really, okay, I saw the previews for that.
The first 2 episodes came out. Third one's coming out at the end of this week. It's really good so far.
Nice.
It's got like an aesthetic all its own, and like Colin Farrell, like he's really good in it. That's all I can say.
Okay.
He plays a detective.
Are we talking about like Penguin vibes?
No, I mean
Good,
he's a
or-
detective in this show. He's
Okay.
he's like an international detective trying to figure out a mystery. Very broad description of it, but like
Okay.
it keeps you hooked. There's like the twists are starting to come out already, things like that. So it's just like it's keeping you on your toes.
Okay.
But the aesthetic is just really good. Like almost at first, I couldn't tell if it was like in the '60s or in like the current day era until I saw him use a smartphone, and I'm like, oh, everybody around him just happens to be like driving like an older car, you know?
Okay. All
But
right.
it's good. It's called Sugar.
Sugar.
Yeah.
I'm just giving a similar answer. X-Men '97. Not.
Wow.
I'm not even
That
gonna.
ending. Wow.
Let's not even spoil it.
I'm not
Just
spoiling
They
it. I'm
should
just
just see
saying
it.
What
You
what
need
number
to-
I
what
don't-
number episode was that?
Five, I
Five?
think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the 5th episode of X-Men '97. I know we mentioned details of a previous episode. This one, just see on your own. This is emotional. This is high impact. I'll just leave it at that. I don't even want to hint. Just see this for episode.
Yeah, this episode is you're gonna be like, what the?
It sounds like we're gonna have one hell of a season review once this season
Oh,
ends.
you have no. I mean, look, honestly, I was excited to watch this show. At the same time, I also had a little bit in the back of my head saying, I hope it's not cheesy or crappy or you know.
Nope, not at all.
But realistically, so far for a this surpasses the original show.
Wow,
And just
that's saying
in my opinion, these 5 episodes surpass the original full series.
Wow.
Well, they also had they also had over 25 years to come up with.
Yeah, so I sure hope you do that. So yeah.
I'm still continuing my Avatar: Last Airbender watch. I have completed season 1. I'm now into season 2, and that premiere episode of season 2. Oh my god, I can't wait.
Which episode was that? Just
The season-
jog my memory.
What happened in that episode?
The sister tricks from the Fire Nation.
Azula.
Yeah, she tricks her brother, saying, "Oh, father wants you to come home," and then it turns out to be a trap, and him and uncle have to get away, and you could see that he's slow. I could you don't say anything.
Yeah.
I could tell that he's gonna become more of a hero and a protagonist, and with Aang, he got to the Earth one. He's dealing with a general from the Earth kingdom, and he's obsessed with seeing his avatar form. So he's doing like very extreme things.
He's trying to like bring it out of him. Right. Yeah, I remember now.
Like he took Karar. What's the girl's name with the water?
Katara.
Qatar. Like he used his powers. It was a trick, but he basically suffocated under her on the ground, basically killing her to trigger Aang.
Yeah.
So he's obsessed.
I remember
because-
that now. Yep.
Yeah, so-
it only gets better. Like
So you didn't get to the part where Uncle Iroh dies?
no, stop.
No, I'm just
He's joking. I will say when you get to the part where they're in the desert and they find the library in the desert, what happens after that episode? Yeah,
That's in the
like,
second-
we'll talk then.
That's on the second season.
Yeah, I think it's the middle of the second season. That's just that. I remember watching that on TV first, and that's what hooked me on the show. And I was
And
like, I
then-
gotta watch the rest of
So
this.
what do you think about the show so far compared to watching the live action?
Well, I recognize certain things that live action, like, oh, this episode, this. But the storytelling, I could tell why the original show was such a hit, and fans. It's really good story writing for a quote unquote kids show at the time that came out of Nickelodeon back in 2005, 2006.
But like you feel more attached to these
Yes, I
characters,
do.
right? Like you feel
Yeah.
like you're almost like on the journey with them. you know?
Now that I surpassed season 1, I'm seeing events that I wasn't aware of that will probably come to season 2 live action. And by the way, there was some news with the Netflix show. The showrunners from season 1 left the show. And
really?
writers that worked on season 1 got elevated to executive producer. I don't know the names off the top of my head.
Okay.
But hopefully that doesn't affect the creativity, the output of the show, and hopefully the Netflix show is season 2 is just as good as season 1. I know you had your opinions compared to the original, but I'm looking forward. And even since I'm so in an animated mood, Bad Batch towards in its final season. What I don't want to spoil anything for this too is getting really picking up with heavy, and the Empire and those clones are that's a season you got to watch.
I'm gonna
that.
leave it at that.
Yeah, leave it
Those
at that.
clones. Ugh.
I also saw they made So quiet on set is literally milking what they're doing.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
The
so
whole
we just
situation.
spoke about that on the last
Yeah,
episode.
on our last episode, watch that and you'll see how we feel about, all the shit that is going on with that. But they're milking it and they created another episode.
It was like a reunion episode, right? Like they brought the
Sure, let's call it a reunion episode. And you didn't really learn much or anything actually in this episode, but it's, whatever. Okay. But again, our thoughts don't change just because of this episode. Nothing changes.
No, of course not.
They
the facts are facts.
Yeah, the facts are facts. Basically this episode was reiterating what happened throughout the other 4 episodes. So nothing special there. I do agree with Pancakes about X-Men 97. And, that's pretty much it. I don't think I've seen anything else that was worth mentioning. Other than that, I think, guys, we're out.
You got it.
Roll credits.